Good evening, folks, and thank you for joining us tonight for our Village of Alsip committee meeting. Today's October 10th, 2022. We'll call this meeting order at 7:30 p.m. Can you call the roll, please?
Trustee Dalzell?
Here.
Trustee Juarez-Mendoza is absent. Trustee McLaughlin is absent. Trustee Murphy?
Here.
Trustee Nava-Esparza is absent. Trustee Peretta?
Here.
Mayor Ryan?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Start our meeting this evening. We're going to have a bid opening on our agendas. Well, I should ask, too, if there's any students in the room, if everybody got an agenda, if you need one, let us know. We got extra agendas. You need one? Here, folks. We had some extras up here and stuff. Thanks for coming out tonight, too. A lot of times the high schools send out, all the kids have government class, so they send the kids out for class. So we'll get started then. The clerk's going to have a bid opening for the fire department. We're just asking for an RFP, that's request for proposal to do a manpower study regarding minimal manning at the fire stations.
Okay, so we received 3 bids. Our first one is from Dynamics Consulting Group with an address of P.O. Box 68, Lake Alfred, Florida 33850. They do have a bid bond, and their projected cost is $19,900. That's 19900. Our second one is from IFCA Assessment Consulting Services with an address of P.O. Box 7, Skokie, Illinois 60076. I do not see a bid bond in here. They have 2 options. So option 1, the fee would be $49,400. That's 49400. With an alternative option 1, which is $36,975. That's 36975. That seems to incorporate a lot of things into that option. Their option 2, which is just the local agency data review and summary only. The fee for that is $19,850. That's 19850. And then our last one is from McGrath Consulting Group Incorporated with an address of P.O. Box 865, Jamestown, Tennessee 38556. And I do not see a bid bond in here, but their cost is proposed at $35,775. That's 35775. And those are the only bids that we received.
Clerk, what was that? What was the name of the second company?
It's IFCA Assessment Consulting Services.
Very good, thank you. So we'll get our officers' reports, starting with mine. I gave all the trustees something in their mailbox for a future discussion coming up. The Village of Alsip received its second wave of ARPA money. That's the American Rescue Plan Act. The Village of Alsip was awarded $2.6 million. We're going to have future discussions on how this money's best spent. The Finance Department did a nice job of meeting with the Water and Public Works Departments, and they've got projects earmarked that was in our budget. That I gave everyone a list of. Actually, Public Works is right. They're doing a $556,000 pipe relining project right now, right, Mike?
We're looking to do that.
Okay. And the water department has got certain projects with engineering fees, upgraded water system at 118th place between Karlov and Tripp, and there's an $800,000 project on 115th place from Kenneth to Joalis as well, too, and that's well overdue. I know we got to hit that. We've had a lot of water main breaks on that block over the years and stuff then, too, so that's welcome. I did put some other considerations in for the Village Hall. We're going to talk more about it as well at a future meeting to increase the security at the clerks and water and building departments, as well as the courtroom, and look at an idea of possibly a new service garage for the police department. We don't have a garage for them. We've got one, and I feel the need just to expand on that just a little bit, just for some service needs. And certainly, I'm going to bring this up at a future committee meeting, and we'll talk more about that at the time. If certainly, if any of the trustees have any suggestions or wish to have some input on this, please let me know, and we can talk more about it too before the next meeting. Next, the village was awarded I got an email today. We were awarded $211,738 for the Rebuild Illinois fund grant that just came out. We were awarded for the 131st Street. Mike, we said this is earmarked for the 131st Street replacement between Pulaski and Kedzie, right? And the letting for that and the construction, we're scheduled for 2025 on that, right? So this is really just covering like engineering costs and a few others. But I saw the other monies that we secured yet too, so we're good to go on that project. Okay. Next, the unfortunately Chateau Boucher is back on the market. They opening bid at the recent auction was $2.5 million, and we got notice today that they are going back out to bid, and the minimum bid for the Chateau Boucher is going to be $2 million. So whatever bids they got must have been low, and they're trying to bring these folks up just a little bit and stuff yet too. So that's going back out. And then at the end of this month, October 27th from 5 to 6 p.m., I'll be here with State Representative Fran Hurley and State Senator Bill Cunningham with ComEd to discuss cost-saving. It's a cost-saving seminar is what this is known as. Learn how you can save on your energy bills. Representatives from ComEd will discuss savings, solar energy, preventing consumer fraud, and other topics residents are concerned about. And again, that's Thursday, October 27th from 5 till 6 p.m. And that's all I have for my report. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's get to the agenda. So that's all I have for my report. The first on your agenda this evening was a request for approval to solicit an RFP to rebuild and update the village website. I was on a Zoom call last week with Trustee Neva Esparza, and we had a real good presentation from an organization she met down at the IML conference. And basically, what it kind of shook out was it was like a link that could be added to our current village website for economic development, which is good. You know, it's a good thing to have. It shows people more so what's available in our village and what our village has to offer. The problem is that our website at the same time is extremely old. You know, I was talking to IT about this, and we have no idea what it would cost to update or rebuild that website. And I'm asking the board if we could go out to bid for that, and let's get an idea what that would cost to do, because otherwise it seems like we're trying to replace the transmission on a 25-year-old car. You know, I don't know if it's the right way to spend money. I don't think it is. I think we should take a look at trying to revamp it as a whole and go from there and stuff then too. So I just want the board to consider doing that. And again, we're not obligated to anything just yet. We want to see what the cost of something like that would be to do. And thanks, Trustee Neva Esparza, for bringing it up. That was a good conversation we had with that company.
Thank you, Mayor.
Next, we had the approval of an ordinance amending Chapter 4 Alcoholic Beverages and Liquor Control, Article 2 Administration and Enforcement, Division 2 License, Section 4-69, limitation on total number of licenses of a municipal code of the Village of Alsip. What that meant was we have no available liquor licenses, and we had a local business make a presentation a couple weeks ago, and the board did agree to adjust the number of liquor licenses for them to introduce cocktails at their business, and the board needs to approve, next week when we vote on this, the board is going to be asked to approve increasing that number by 1 to accommodate that license for that particular business. And that's all I had for tonight. Any questions on that, too? No? Clerk Harding, clerk's report.
Thank you, Mayor. I have the presentation of the August 2022 IDOT motor fuel tax allotment in the amount of $63,156.44, and the presentation of the October 3rd, 2022 board meeting minutes. That is all I have, Mayor.
All right, thank you. We don't need an attorney this evening, and I will let the board know, we met last week with Robinson Engineering, and our engineer, Will Dolan, is on temporary assignment, and we have a substitute engineer for right now. His name is Jeff Aggen. It's spelled Geoffaggen. Jeff's very versed in municipal engineering, and we had a good conversation with him last week. So he'll be sitting in for Will Dolan temporarily, right? Okay. Next, we had the public forum, and I know there might be a lot of folks here to listen to conversation regarding cell tower. If that's the case, I'm going to ask that we have public comment after that presentation. So we'll try and get this business out of the way here first. Is there anybody that had any other business that they wanted to talk about in our public forum? All right, then I'll ask for the public's input after when we get to that part of the meeting. We'll wrap up some of these committee reports. So first we had standing committee reports, Finance and IT Committee.
Present to the list of payroll and accounts payable, and then the discussion and approval to transfer $25,001, can't save the buck, from the Village of Alsip OPED Trust to set up the OPED Trust. And you want to comment on that, Joyce?
No, we're just ready to go. The accounts are there waiting for the money.
Sweet.
So we're ready to kick off.
And again, especially for the students in the audience and the public at large, OPEB stands for Other Post-Employment Benefits. So this is an account we're setting up to pay our future debts for insurances, and health insurance, everything else that the village is obligated to pay post-employment for retirees and whatnot and stuff.
Yeah.
Too.
This is strictly health insurance, though.
Okay. Next, we had thank you, Trustee. Anything else?
Thank you, Mayor. No.
Next, we had the Fire Committee report. Trustee Murphy.
Mayor, there's nothing formal on the agenda. I just wanted to remind everyone that this week is Fire Prevention Week, October 9th through the 15th. Just encouraging everyone to be proactive in your homes, practice home fire drills, plan your escapes, make sure that your smoke alarms are no further than 15 feet away from any bedroom. So I have some work to do there at my own house. Make sure that you change your batteries. A lot of times we get reminded when we change our clocks back or push them forward to change the batteries in your smoke alarms, and get together with your family with having these home fire drills and making sure that you choose a meeting area in case, God forbid, something happens at your home where a fire would break out. And always call 911. And that's all I have, sir.
All right, thank you. Next, we have the Police and Traffic Safety. Trustee Dalzell.
Nothing for this evening's meeting,
All right.
Mayor.
Thank you. And then we'll go to Public Work and Boat Launch Committee.
That would be me. I have a presentation of the September 2022 Public Works Monthly Department Activity Report. I have a request for approval for purchase of one new 2024 International HV 507 dump truck with a snowplow, salt spreader, and pre-wet spray system from Rush Truck Centers from Springfield, Illinois, in the amount of $220,000. This truck is offered through Sourcewell contract and is not expected to be delivered until late 2024. And I also have a request for approval of the Public Works Superintendent Mike Frater to attend the Illinois Public Works Mutual Aid Network annual conference from October 25th through the 26th, 2022, in Bloomington, Illinois, in an amount of $425 to include lodging, meals, and gas. And on that note, I have a letter. This is from the Biosolids Benefit Reuse Award, and it reads as follows. Dear Mike, this again is to Superintendent Mike Frater. Dear Mike, it is our great pleasure to inform you that the Village of Alsip has been selected to receive the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago's 2022 Biosolids Benefit Reuse Award. We look forward to announcing this honor at the MWRD's 10th Annual Sustainability Summit beginning at 10 a.m. Friday, October 21st, 2022, to be held at the Ford Calumet Environmental Center, 11555 South Stony Island, Chicago. Congratulations on receiving this prestigious honor. So, congratulations, Mike.
Yeah, well
Very
done,
good.
Mike. Good job. And for a lot of folks that don't know, Public Works Superintendent Mike Frater did a great job working with the Morton Arboretum, where we secured a grant last year that we actually forfeited. Basically, we gave away half our parking lot at the boat launch, and now we've got a green infrastructure project out there right now. We're going to be planting, there's almost 500 trees, Mike, that went up out there? Over 200 trees right now. But we're looking to actually introduce artwork and a few other things too. They're going to go out there, really make it look beautiful. Are we done with the mulching sidewalks yet and stuff like that?
Still a little bit of work left, but overall it's complete.
And how big is that parking lot, Mike? That 3 acres. 3 acres of green space that's out at the boat launch right now. So please take advantage of it when you're able to. How's the grass coming out there yet? It is? We cut it yet or anything? The biosolids are making it grow faster? Okay. All right. All right. Have we cut that grass already out too, or what? Really? Okay. Also, one last thing on that note too is I want to, I know we're past the IT stage, but we were talking at our last meeting about the need for more document scanning, and I asked Mike earlier, because I missed him last week, but we may have a part-time employee that, the Sherman who works out at the boat launch. We're going to ask him and see if he's interested in maybe assuming that role to be our scanner person and stuff then too. He's certainly capable. He's a great guy. And the boat launch closes November 1st, so he'll be available after that. Okay. Thank you. Next, we'll go to our Trustee Murphy. Anything else?
No, sir, that's
Okay.
all.
Water and Sewer Report, Trustee Nava Esparza. Excuse me. Water and Sewer, Trustee Nava Esparza.
Thank you, Mayor. I have the presentation of the September 2022 Water Department Monthly Activity Report. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Next is the Building and Health Report, Trustee Peretta.
Thank you, Mayor Ryan, and good evening, everyone. This evening, I have a presentation of the September 2022 Building Department Monthly Activity Report, and in that report, there were 108 permits issued. The amount collected, including inspector fees, were $29,916.75. The estimated cost of construction was valued at $13,211,382, and it looks like the bulk of that was from commercial remodel and or addition, valued at $10,797,963. Next, I have a presentation of the September 2022 Health Department Monthly Activity Report. In that report, there were 43 complaints and 59 citations. Next, I have a discussion to post in-house for 1 week to fill a vacant clerical position in the building department. Just a brief overview. The position title is clerical. It is in the department, the building department. It is hourly, non-exempt. Working hours would be 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. with rotating late shift on Mondays. Anybody interested should visit the Village of Alsip website www.villageofalsip.org. Applications and resumes can also be dropped off at the Village Hall. Also, last, I have a request to approve amending ordinance number 05-12-2 regarding certain building permit fees. Board members, you should have received the building permit fee schedule in your mailboxes. As a courtesy, we haven't touched or adjusted these fees. It looks like some of these go back as far as 1989, some as far back as 2002, 2003, 2014. These fees were looked at with Mayor Ryan, Commissioner Early, and myself, one by one, and we adjusted very modestly. So take a look at these. Commissioner Early, do you have anything to add?
No, other than the three of us sat down, we did compare some other towns. This is middle of the road. It's not like we're asking to gouge. We're just trying to find some common ground and bring the prices up so that we can actually pay our inspectors accordingly.
For the most part, the inspector fees were $35 an inspection when we went out, and across the board, every town is 50 plus. We left it at $50. So it was a $15 increase is what we did, just to cover our cost. And the other was really marginal increases for building permits. Again, as a courtesy to the community and to businesses, when you get a business, when you pull like a construction permit, for the most part, it's 1% of the cost of the construction, or like $10 for every $1,000 more or less that you spend. And we didn't touch it. We left it where it was. It's a good fee, and we're still getting new businesses coming in town. And by the way, Trustee Preda, that's a great number to share with the audience tonight yet, too. $10 million, that's got to be the 3600 job, right?
You are correct.
So there's a new building going up at 3600 West 127th Street, and it's on 8 acres of land that used to be a steel plant back in the day, and they're building a 40,000 square foot logistics warehouse back there right now. That's certainly not just to benefit the village, but the school districts as well. Is that 125 or 130 school, do you know?
130.
That's a 130 school district yet, too, so we're doing our part to help those folks out as well, too, so.
It'll definitely help them.
Yeah, so, no, it's a good project, and I know a big part of that project, too, is bringing good water to the project, too, because we had to abandon the pipes. They were asbestos lined, and they got to directionally bore those under 127th Street from the south side of the street yet, too, so. But thank them, we did. We helped, this board helped take care of them as far as some tax incentives and whatnot yet, too, so it's a great project. But as far as trustees, Trustee Preda came to my office before we started tonight. Certainly, we can look to approve these next week unless somebody has any questions on it. Otherwise, we're not in a hurry. It took this long to get this far to begin with. We can certainly digest and have more conversation later, too. So, any questions on it right now for Trustee Preda? No? All right. Trustee, anything else?
No, that concludes my report, Mayor. Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you. We'll go to Human Resource and Insurance. Trustee Murphy.
Again, Mayor, I don't have a formal report. However, it's just a reminder for village employees, the CHC wellness screening for everyone using village health insurance, that on-site screenings are a convenient way to help your health journey get started. Our team of phlebotomists are going to come to the Village Hall to perform blood pressure and check for blood and blood draws. Flu shots will also be available on-site. Employees, spouses, and non-Medicare retirees enrolled in the village's health plan can receive a free flu shot at the on-site event. This will be Tuesday, November 1st from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. and from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Also Wednesday, November 2nd from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. right here in the Village Boardroom. Please bring your Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance card to your on-site appointment. If you're unable to attend the on-site event or remote screening, you may complete your screening with your physician and register for the physician screening option. Please have your physician fill out the form listed at the end of the guide and upload it to the CHC portal. Visit your physician and submit your test results by November 16th, 2022. And that's all I have, sir.
All right, thank you. Next, we have the Economic Development Report. Trustee Nava-Esparza.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to add some additional comments to one of your reports regarding the RFP for the village website. It was a great meeting, and thank you again, Mayor, for joining. And I did meet the vendor at the IML conference, but as I looked at other municipal websites and so forth, and now we live in a digital age, not to sound cliche, but a lot of searches are done online. And so it's about presenting the village in a good light, presenting information in an accessible manner, whether it's our entire website or the economic development aspect of a website, or a web page, I should say. The vendor did highlight that he'd be able to provide guidance in regards to search engine optimization for the website as well, and how we build content. Because again, we are physically in a space, but again, people want to find out where to invest, where to develop, and they usually refer to online sources and want information with just a couple of clicks. And then the other item that I'm also working on with Mayor Ryan is with CMAP. I think we have maybe a pending meeting tomorrow. They offered assistance to review a call for projects application related to complete streets. So hopefully we're able to submit that. I know Mayor Ryan is leading that effort with the project. And lastly, again, Cook County is offering a growth grant for small businesses in the amount of $10,000, and the deadline is October 31st. And I also have some conversations I've had with Roger regarding another business that wants to expand their existing facilities. So thank you, Roger. And that's all I have.
This evening, I had a quick conversation with Matt that owns Firewater Barbecue and Brew. I told him his fence fell down again over on Pulaski.
It did.
And we got another conversation yet, too. But he told me that starting tomorrow, the light poles are going in tomorrow, and they're going to have all the parking lot's going to be completed by the 25th, is what they're shooting. He said he had an issue with the excavator, so he had to get another team in there. But he says he hopes to have things really start flying now and stuff then, too. He got slowed down with the ComEd thing for like 6 weeks, and he's hoping to get this thing flying right now yet, too. So hopefully the restaurant gets going, and I'll talk to you more about the other project, too.
Mayor, the name of the restaurant, just for clarity, because I know people have been posting like Firewater, but there's one up north of us on 111th, and they're not the same owners.
No, they're not related. And in fact, he might even change the name. He wants to keep his own identity more or less and stuff yet, too, but we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a good business on 111, too, but you just want to differentiate the two, that's all.
Yeah, just to, also for the public to know.
Right. Next, we have Village Properties Committee. It's probably you, Trustee Nava-Esparza.
I have, let's see, presentation of the August 2022 Heritage Monthly Activity Report, and I also have the presentation of September 2022 Heritage Monthly Activity Report, and that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Next, we have the ordinance legislation. Trustee Parada.
No report this evening, Mayor?
All right, thank you. All right, so on your agendas next time, folks, was planning and zoning and licenses. Whose committee is that?
Trustee McLaughlin.
Trustee McLaughlin?
No.
Go ahead. You want to introduce, you want to speak to that report first, please?
Yeah.
A presentation by AT&T and its contractor asking the village to approve rezoning of industrial property at 128th Place and La Crosse Avenue from I-1 Industrial to I-1 Industrial Special Use for a cell tower to be erected on that industrial site.
All right, thank you. So, just to frame this real quick, folks, is again, we have a camera that we YouTube all of our meetings, so it's not on you folks, it's just on the board. But just to frame what we're speaking to here is myself and several board members, basically we've heard from some of the residents already that living near this designated site, and what's the question at hand here is that the contractor wants to install a cell tower. And the address is known as 4835 128th Place, and currently it's zoned I-1 Industrial, and as Trustee McLaurin just said, it needs to be rezoned to I-1 industrial special use for this particular need. Before we get a presentation from the contractor, Mastech and AT&T, I'd just like to a little housekeeping. What I'd like to do is let them make their presentation, and certainly after they're done, we'll welcome public comment at that time then too. And anyone's welcome to come up and comment or ask you can ask a question. That's really not a debate, but the board is here to kind of hear the case, because when this went in front of the Plan Commission, basically they offer a recommendation of the board, and what happened was it was a tied vote, 3 yes, 3 no, and this way it failed. So when it comes as an appeal to this board, it's our job now just to obviously listen to both sides, and we're not going to vote on anything this evening, but we want to hear the case as it stands, and we'll schedule a vote at a future board meeting, maybe next week. So do we have somebody here from Mastech and AT&T? You want to come up, fellas? So I'll ask, if you would please, if you can speak into this microphone. We record everything, and again, the cameras are faced on us, so if you can just introduce yourself, and we've got a sign-in sheet here too on one side.
Thank you, Mayor Ryan.
Sure.
My name is Matthew Fitzgibbon with Mastech Network Solutions. It's 1351 East Irving Park Road, Itasca, Illinois, 60143. Again, my name is Matthew Fitzgibbon. I'm with Mastech Network Solutions out of Itasca, and we are agent for AT&T. We represent AT&T, and also here from AT&T is Andrew Flowers with the Real Estate Division, and Sammy Blaylar.
Sam.
Yeah, you know Sammy.
Sam's our government affairs person, yes. Okay.
You know Sammy from Consumer Relations. As you know, we're here to request a special use permit within the I-1 district. Not a rezoning per se, but a special use permit within that district as an I-1 zone. And that request is, as you indicate, to construct a telecommunication tower at 4838 West 128th Place. As I said, the site itself is zoned I-1, light industrial. It's a 0.7 of an acre site, which is already built up. We're proposing a lease area of about 1,900 square feet to construct 150-foot monopole tower. This tower will facilitate 3 carriers. AT&T is proposed to be at the 145-foot rad center, and as we like to do in the telecommunications industry, as many zoning ordinances require, there will be space for 2 other users on this tower, so that when future carriers come to you as well, there will be an existing tower upon which they can put their facilities and increase the service to the community as well. The request that's before you is the zoning aspect of it, and we've submitted our application, and we've addressed the zoning standards, and believe that they meet the zoning standards as required for the special use permit. You are also allowed to assign the height of the tower, as indicated, 150 feet. It is considered a radio tower under your zoning ordinances, so there's no variation per se, except that if you decide to approve the special use permit, you've approved the height of the tower at 150. Again, the request before you is for the zoning, the special use permit. There are many agencies that are involved with communication towers that have regulatory jurisdiction over the towers, mostly the FCC. A lot of discussion at the Planning Commission meeting was about matters related to radio frequencies, health, and those types of questions. And while they're valid to ask and they're warranted, That's why we have public hearings, is so that the public can speak to those things. They're not necessarily the factors that you'll use to make your decision on the zoning aspect. The FCC engages the FDA, the EPA, the Food and Drug Administration, the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health, OSHA, the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, and the National Council on Radiation Protection and Measurements in doling out RF approvals for cell carriers like AT&T. So it's entirely within their peer review with the recommendations and studies that are supported by all those organizations that allow us to construct hundreds of thousands of cell towers across the country to create the robust telecommunication network that we have now and we're going to build to increase the future demand. And so that's why we're here before you. There's a gap in coverage, and AT&T is trying to fill that gap. Telecommunication facilities are an essential component, a utility component of our modern economy. There's plenty of materials out there that will speak to that, and I'll just give you a couple examples. 80% of all 911 calls come from cell phones. We've learned in the last 2 years, if not the last 10 years, and 2 decades, if you will, that telecommunication facilities are integral and necessary for education. They're necessary for business, for logistics, and for homes, so you can actually have reception in your homes. There's a gap in coverage in the location where we're attempting to put this tower, and it'll increase coverage where there's currently unmet coverage. This sums up my overview of what our request is and kind of bring you up to speed from where it was from the last meeting.
Okay.
Again, Andrew Flowers is here from the real estate, and he'd be glad to answer any questions you might have, as well as Sammy Blaylark from Consumer Relations and Consumer Affairs, and I'm with Maztec, the company who was actually hired to do the site acquisition and construction of the tower. So thank you again to the Village of Alsip Board and Mayor and trustees and the audience as well for coming out again and having at least know what we're trying to accomplish here in your village.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Oh, yeah, if you would, please. Mr. Flowers, go ahead. Did you want to say something, too?
Good evening. My name is Andrew Flowers. I am the Senior Real Estate and Construction Manager for AT&T Mobility for Illinois, Wisconsin. My address is 95 West Algonquin Road, Schaumburg, Illinois, 60173.
All right.
Think about that one. So my job is basically overseeing all the leasing, zoning, permitting, and handing off to construction to be able to build these cell sites. AT&T right now is in a build mode to be able to provide better service to communities like yourself. We do not take it lightly to have to build a new tower. First things we look for are building existing towers, existing buildings, water tanks. We always look for those things first because it's speed to market. It's easier for us to co-locate on those things than it is a lot of times to go through the regulatory and the zoning process to build a brand new facility. In this particular case, the suburb is basically surrounded on all 4 sides with existing facilities that AT&T currently has. And what our engineers have determined is that there is a need along Cicero, along the Cal-Sag, basically where 294 and Cicero all come together there, for capacity. Now, everybody's got a cell phone for the most part. If you have a cell phone that's more modern, you're looking at data speeds that are almost 10,000% more than what they were just a few years ago. So the amount of data coming in necessitates the need to build more towers and more communication facilities. I know it was suggested why can't we put up small cells? And there are some small cells in your community. There's one, I think it was 135th and Cicero I was looking at when I came down here. The problem with those type of facilities are they usually only cover about 1,000 feet in any one direction, and they have much less capacity than a full macro site, which is the site we're proposing. The engineers have given us parameters of what we would like to build for optimal height, which is the 145 feet. They believe that at that 145 feet in the computer models, that we will now have a connected network between the cell sites to north, south, east, and west, so that you do have less drop calls, you have faster speeds when you're on your phone, data inside your house, inside your businesses, and our engineers have determined that that location needed to be somewhere in that area, which is basically Cicero and in the CalSag area, and the CalSag. Beyond that, I can answer questions in regards to the engineering of it. I can answer questions of what the facility looks like.
I didn't have the transcript in front of me, and certainly we never turned this into a debate, so this is just a question.
Absolutely.
I heard, was there other locations identified, and why didn't it go there?
Yes. So, Mastech, which is our agent out in the field, they go out and they're given parameters by our RF engineers to basically say, here's a dot. We need to be here for optimal location. So they give them that dot, and their job is now to go find willing, leasable, zonable, buildable sites in that area. And they bring them back, we evaluate them, and we go through that process till we find something that's workable. In this particular case, our field personnel, I believe they went through about 11 different companies or businesses that went down the path of they were not interested or never returned the phone calls. Like the Kohl's Shopping Center, we tried to put it over there. There's a few other facilities that were up in the same industrial area that we're proposing our site today. There are sometimes we have people that are like, we'd love to have it here, but then there's no place to actually put it. They have to lose 15 parking spots, or there's just no place to actually put it on their property.
So it's not really a matter of where to put it, it's a matter of finding property available to even put it.
Exactly. And this evening, I grew up on the south side. It's been a while since I've been over here, and I drove the whole area where our people were out in the field looking for locations. I've been doing this for 25 years. And your particular area over there, the industrial park, is at, those buildings are sitting literally on top of each other over there. There's very little parking lots. It's very hard to get in and out, I guess, with probably a bigger truck. And you build a facility like ours, there might be room for the pole, but then there's no room for the communication facility, the actual switching technology, the cabinets. But then you have to look at it from, okay, we build it, we can get our stuff in there, but your ordinance says we got to build it for 3 carriers. Well, where's the next carrier coming in, like a Verizon or T-Mobile or whoever? Where are they going to put their equipment? And then there's no place to actually do it. So then the facility starts to become, okay, well, now I need to build another tower. So we take all that into account, and since we don't have any facilities that are actually built, meaning an existing tower or a building or water tank, we have to go down the path of a raw land site. And this particular site does sit on a very small piece of grass area that is being used for a dumpster and grass. There's really not much there. The tower does sit as far away from the property line as possible without being in the parking lot and impeding the business that we're leasing space from. The communication facility will also be engineered so that in a case of a catastrophic event, let's say a tornado comes through, the facilities actually can be built so that they collapse in on themselves. So people are always like, It's a 150-foot tower, it's going to fall straight over. Well, the strongest part of the tower is actually the bottom of the tower. So the tower manufacturer, we give them specs, and we can actually engineer the tower to actually bend in on itself, even if it's hit by a direct tornado. So we can have that fall within the property line itself. So it would be about 50 feet or so.
So it really wasn't a debate over, or a matter of which town to be in, it's a matter of finding a willing participant where you can get this thing and stuff yet, too.
That is correct. And
Plus the zone that you're looking for, the area that needs service.
correct. And I know that I wasn't at the last meeting. There was some discussion of why does it say Crestwood, on the front of the drawings. And the reason for that was it was just a name that was assigned to it by the engineer.
Gotcha.
It doesn't necessarily mean that it was supposed to be specifically in that city or in Alsip. That's just a name that's assigned to it.
Just a designate, all right.
It's designation. Yep.
And then,
What was wrong with the water tower that's 3 blocks to the east of your proposed site?
So the water tower that's 3 blocks to the east, I don't have that data in front of me. I don't know the answer to that question.
I mean, we have a water tower that has a cellular corral on top of it. There is another carrier, or there was before, I think it was... Yeah, so...
2 carriers on it.
Right.
Which is closer to 294, correct?
it's,
Yeah,
we're on
right on
top of it,
294.
yeah.
Yeah, it's right on 294.
Right.
So, where'd Matt go? Matt's got maps that I can actually show you guys what's going on and where they're trying to cover and where the problems are happening.
It's included in our packet, we can see it.
Oh, yeah, we've got the same thing.
Okay, so the more we go to the east, you're getting closer and closer to the cell site that's to the east. And when these facilities are built, we need to have the correct spacing, otherwise it's not really serving its direct purpose.
Okay.
3 blocks.
Yeah.
You can engineer the power to facilitate 3 blocks.
And I will take that back and I will look to find out why. That,
We-
and it's very possible that was turned in as a candidate, and it could have been ruled out because maybe it's not tall enough. I don't know how tall it actually is, but I'm guessing it's fairly short. I don't know with offhand.
I'm not sure. We just had that water tower repainted, and basically,
But you want to talk about a
It's
structure
on the
that
outside.
won't fall in on itself, and you've already got 2 other carriers there. The presentation for the geography, there's a low area, so,
it could be an option, is I guess.
I-
is
I've
what
got-
I'm saying.
I'll definitely take that back and look at it. It's
Okay.
very possible, like I said, that was already looked at and discounted by the engineers, because let's just say, without knowing how tall the tower is, let's say the tower is at 90 feet. Our engineers are saying the optimal what we need is 145. So
but that's 145 for 3 carriers, and with what you're saying is that you're going to propose a 3-carrier tower. 2 of the other carriers are going to be a full wavelength underneath you.
they'd be 10
each.
10 feet,
Right.
about 10 feet underneath each one,
So,
each one coming down.
so the bottom one on a tower that you're proposing is going to sit there and be at 130,
Correct.
125.
125.
Correct.
So now that distance isn't that bad, and if that 3rd carrier could make it do,
Well, that starts to get into,
and you're talking about a structure that's already there. So when you had said in the very beginning that you're looking for locations that you could co-locate on and then stand up right away, that's the location.
okay, I'll be more than happy to go back and vet that out so that we can take a look at whether or not that works for us. But if we take that back to our engineering department and the answer is it will not still serve the need and we still need to build something again, then you start to look at, the economic feasibility of building 2 cell sites. Each one of these cell sites costs $500,000 or more to build. So it's not something that we just kind of throw out there and it's like, let's build another one, build another one. There's only so much money to be available to build facilities. And by losing, 30, 40, 50 feet, makes a humongous difference for how far that actually ends up covering.
And I understand, and there's another, AT&T's got a present location on 125th and Pulaski,
Right.
so a little bit more than a mile away.
It's very tight, the specific area where the facility
And I
is.
get it, but I remember 25 years ago, AT&T approached us at the village because they were giving away radio towers. They were out of the business. They wish they kept them.
And the world has changed. Like I said, I've done this for 25-plus years, and the world has changed. We used to build cell towers 350, 400 feet. Now we're building them at 100, 120, 150 feet because you need that capacity to be able to have the fast speeds on the phone to be able to communicate. It's not just a phone call anymore. It's video, it's streaming, it's Zoom calls, it's whatever it is. And it's not necessarily on your cell phone as you're driving. It's sitting inside your house doing business. So it's the need is obviously exploded, but the way we actually do business is just so different than it used to be even 5 years ago. We go back and we keep touching towers every 3-4 years because new technology comes out. We take down the old technology, reuse the spectrum, put new radios up that are faster, the antennas are faster, so that we can provide better service to the community.
Right. And I also know that you can co-locate on the ComEd high-tension wires, and I know that that's not a pleasant thought.
That's not a pleasant thought.
Right.
I love ComEd, but that is not a pleasant thought.
Right.
And one of the reasons that is a very problematic, let's take ComEd out of it. Let's go up to Wisconsin. That we actually have gotten, as AT&T and all the carriers up in the Wisconsin, Milwaukee area, we've actually gotten notices to get off the high-tension lines because it ends up being that if an antenna, let's say, gets struck by a piece of by lightning, right, or goes bad, and it has to replace an antenna, it takes somewhere between 6 and 9 months to replace that antenna. So that whole sector for people using phones is out.
Right.
So it's very hard to use those facilities, and on top of that, there's specific contractors that have to be used. So ComEd is a very difficult one to deal with just because of the sheer, logistics for it. But
And the backhaul for this proposed antenna at the location that you're specifying now, is that via microwave or is that through
that'd
fiber?
be fiber, AT&T fiber back to the switch. Yes.
Okay. And that's currently within that area?
Yes. Yeah. You'll take that back out to the street, and then it goes back out to the switching station. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Trustees, any other questions for Mr. Flowers?
Well, I notice on the drawings that there are 2 additional locations marked as future lease. What are those?
So, part of it doesn't matter if your ordinances or anybody's city's ordinances, typically they'll say you have to build a facility that's capable of 2, 3, 4, 5 additional carriers. So we don't know who those carriers are. We don't know if they'll ever come. But typically if you build a tower, they'll end up coming because if we're there, the next guy needs to be there.
That's what you were saying. You're good for 3 users with the capability to
Right. Now,
add
if the city
into.
came back and said, you know what, we don't want to have to build another one, can you do 4? We can engineer it to build 4. And we end up, those spots on the drawings, what those are just kind of a placeholder to say, let's say a T-Mobile wants to come in, here's your pseudo area that you go inside the compound. So we want to make sure, like I was saying in the beginning, I want to make sure there's enough room to be able to expand that facility, to make sure there's enough room for everybody in the future. Because if I build a tower that I can just get us on there, and then another carrier comes along to you and say, I can't get here, but I need to build another tower, then it doesn't really serve the purpose that it was originally intended for.
Okay, I'm not talking about on the tower itself, on the site drawings. There are 2
Talking on the ground.
on the ground.
Yes.
Yes.
So they need switching equipment just like us. So typically that would be, sometimes it's a physical shelter, which is 10 by 15, 10 by 20. A lot of times now we're going to smaller cabinets, which are basically the size of refrigerators, and there's usually 2 or 3 of them sitting there with a backup generator that is for hardening purposes for 911 and for first responders, because AT&T is the sole provider for FirstNet nationwide. So we have a contract with FirstNet, which is for first responders. So all the sites that we build have FirstNet on it capabilities, and all the sites get hardened with a backup generator for, in case the power goes out, we have, 10, 12, 15 hours worth of backup service sitting there, plus batteries that back up the cell site.
Anybody else? No? Thanks much, Mr. Flowers.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Sam, did you want to say something too?
Good evening.
Evening.
My name is Sam Baylark. I'm the Director of External Affairs for AT&T. I live at, let me get my address right. I've lived in Willow Springs for the last 16 years. I just moved to Lamont, so my new address is 49 Ruffle Feathers Drive in Lamont. I'm a 25-year employee of the company. February I celebrate 25 years. And so much has changed over the years since I've been with this company, and I can only say that complaints I get directly from people because I go to chamber events, I go to events, and I've got to the point where I can sit at a chamber event at a table of 10, and of the 9 people, and they can see this emblem, I can tell that they got a problem with my company. And there was a time when there was a problem. The problem was always something in your yard or something with a line. And we would always kind of frown on wireless things because we didn't deal with wireless that much. But today, most of my complaints are about wireless. Everybody wants to talk about their wireless phone. When people go in a store for AT&T to buy a phone and they come home and it doesn't work at home, they bring it back. That's where those reports come from. Those reports come from all the complaints that we get from people who can't use their phones. When you can't use your phone, you take it back. And we have to do reports on a regular basis to find out where dead spots are. I mentioned I'm a 25-year employee covering the south suburbs. And I've driven through the south suburbs all over where there was times where I go to areas where I couldn't use my phone. I would drive through certain areas, Blue Island, what have you, and I couldn't use my phone. As a matter of fact, I had people who wondered why I lived in Willow Springs around all those trees, because I didn't have service. But modern technology, they're building more and more, and these are things that help us communicate. I'm carrying 2 now because the company says I have to keep them separate, company and personal. So I just want to, I didn't plan to address the group, but at the same time I want to introduce myself, and it's always good to see you.
You too, sir.
And the rest of everybody. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. So I appreciate the presentation from both Mastec and AT&T. At this time, we welcome any public comments. And please, I'm just going to ask, we don't have a real big room. If you can keep to 3 or 4 minutes, and one timer come up and say something, please.
Good evening, Mayor. Thank you so much for providing this opportunity. And trustees, thank you very much for your service. I'm Carla Rodriguez. I live at 4819 West Engle Road, approximately 25 feet in front, or just east of the property. I don't know if I can share this with you. Maybe AT&T wants to take a look at it. But it's some of their equipment. If my home was looking like this, I think I would have been fined, even for grass. I've asked for it to be repaired. It has not been done. So for them to want to look, but it's missing the exterior of the box with all the electronic parts hanging out. I don't know what kind of liability issue that is. I guess once somebody gets injured, then we'll see it get all prettied up, and then we'll be able to answer it then. And Mayor, I do have a copy of the transcripts if you're interested in reviewing them, but you'd have to do them.
Oh, no, I can get that. I can get from the clerk tomorrow.
Okay.
That's fine.
I have permitted scrawlings on here, so I apologize. Okay, under sworn testimony, Mr. Fitz stated that when his company steps in to provide, page 5, lines 21 and 22, he says when they provide sets of latitude and longitude coordinates It's called a search ring. The center of the ring is where those coordinates are. It stated on page 6, lines 5 through 7, engineers have determined the best location for that cell tower to be provided to was actually the off-track vetting facility located in Rivercrest Drive. The realtor from AT&T stated that they looking at locations along Cal-Sag and Cicero. Well, AT&T has a store right on Route 83 in Cicero and Crestwood. So Mr. Fitz also stated on line 6, page, numbers 20 to 22, part of the process is they're, with that handing of the ring, they're also looking for, I'm sorry, let's go to page 7. Numbers 1 through 4, things negotiated, obviously our rent and those sorts of things, but when determined if, from a zoning perspective, if it's something that's allowed or potentially allowed, our community is saying no. Page 7, lines 5 through 7, in this case, Mr. Fitz states, in this case, considering the property is zoned industrial, we found a willing landlord. Also on page 18, the new tower is proposed to be 150 feet. Concerns, as I mentioned, was it falling, in addition to it being 15 to 20 feet away from a 3-unit home along the water reclamation landline properties. Page 8, lines 2 through 5, AT&T antennas need to be 145 feet. Also on that page, line 4, the tower would accommodate an additional 2 co-locators. With that in consideration, I showed you, there's a box here that's exposed. They're not taking care of their property. Again, if that were my property, I would be getting fined. And I would deserve it, because if I'm not keeping my home safe, somebody's going to get hurt, and so will my neighbors. Most important, on page 8, lines 10 through 14, normally, Mr. Fitz says, normally they try and get 50 by 50 feet. This piece of property is a little unusually figured, but you have a copy of the construction drawing. I believe, he's not an engineer, he's a realtor, it's still able to accommodate those additional co-locators. Mr. Fitz speculates he is no engineer. Commissioner Klein was kind to champion for Alsip by noting documents are in Crestwood name and appear to benefit Crestwood. On page 11, lines 20 through 22, Commissioner Klein stated, I know you referred OTB. I noticed these site plans, has the site address of Alsip, but they are titled Crestwood. Commissioner Klein further stated on page 12, lines 3 and 4, is this benefiting more coverage in Crestwood? Interrog. Mr. Fitz's response also on page 12, line 9, that he can't really explain why. Again, he's not an engineer, he's a realtor. Commissioner Klein continued to question on page 13, lines 5 through 7. Placement is basically at the far south end of our town, and it is titled Crestwood. Klein further stated, I know you referenced the OTB and asked on page 13, lines 11 and 12, did you explore any other sites in Crestwood? Mr. Fitz's response, same page, line 13, not by my knowledge. Klein, also on the same page, line 13 to 20, suits their needs the best, or again, also, page 14, lines 1 and 2, Commissioner Klein asked, this suits, again, she's reiterating, this suits their needs the best, or Mr. Fitz's response is on lines 3 and 4. Well, the OTB would have suited it best. Again, on page, I can go on and on, but I know I only have 2 or 3 minutes,
Right.
but not only did the commissioners at this meeting champion for the neighborhood and note that there's a number of issues that the property is not functional for their needs. I don't know about you and functional. Would you ever buy a car that was not functional for you? It didn't probably stay in your home that long. Worse, me, a purse, If it's not functional, it's not going to last with me, I'm going to throw it away or donate it. So that's one of the first things that in society we always look at, function. And if it's not functional, it's not in the proper location right now. Okay, so now they have one on 128th and La Crosse. Because it's not functional, they have to add, as they already noted tonight, that they're going to have to already put in a couple more sites because it's not in their ideal location. Alsip is not sloppy seconds to anybody. We're getting recognized left and right. Our policing agency, our streets and towns, I'm saying the wrong name.
Public Works, but no, I know, we know what you mean.
But, you know, it's not meant for Alsip. This is yes, we are, one commissioner noted that all of Alsip is industrial, and absolutely, as we heard this evening, that there's a company coming in and they're bringing in educational funds for District 130. That's phenomenal. We have educational funds from my little condo, from other homes in the neighborhood, and I don't know with this leasing tower, if it brings up additional tax funds to go towards that. If not, it's only going to the willing landlord. We don't want to be compromised. That willing landlord does not live in the neighborhood. He does not vote in the neighborhood. His children are not riding on the bus on the bottom of that cell tower with a potential hazard maybe. I don't know if it is or not. But we already have, my neighbor has gone through a lung transplant or removal. But,
So, I got to ask you to wrap up.
okay. So I appreciate your time. I can go on and on, but you already have the transcripts, and the transcripts which are noted from the engineers. We don't have any engineers here. I'm not an engineer. I'm just a concerned person from my neighborhood. I'm out there, today I was off of my full-time job, but I was out there trying to procure funds from 6 of my neighbors, not directly in my neighborhood, but in and about from like 127th, a little bit west, trying to assist with rental assistance. So I give back to my neighborhood because that's most important to me. It doesn't have to just benefit me and my family. I'm beyond that. I'm here to provide for my neighbors and my neighborhood and my community. And I hope you hear our voice. A lot of us are afraid to approach, but we're just asking that please consider those of us who live there, that we don't lose the value of our home, based on this, that we don't lose the value of our health. And I don't care what, we're not sure what's going to happen. I just know that Emily Beasley and another child, they all have these streets named in memorandum because they have died from cancer of their brain, and there is a cell tower close to that area in Mount Greenwood, which is a cancer cluster. Thank you for your time, and I apologize for rambling.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Rodriguez. Somebody else want to speak? What's that? Oh, sure. Yeah.
We couldn't get through. Even the village could not. Even the village could not. The building department. They cried about it. Linda cried about it.
All right. Go ahead, sir.
My name's Bob Quentracki, Quentrocki. I live at 4916 West Ingle. It's about 2 blocks away from this proposed tower. First off, I want to thank Carla for her hard effort and everything she's done for the last 2 months. Okay, 3 months. We had this meeting planned X amount of times. I talked X amount of times. I'm blue in the face. Okay. I reading up on 5G. We're not going to stop 5G. Okay? But we're fighting on location. We don't want it. Yeah. Okay? Reaches our property. There's all sorts of studies done on it. Okay? Health issues. Again, there's studies done on it. But what you have to look like, we have to look at as people's perspective. If I'm coming, I found another article today. If I'm looking to buy a house, they say 75% of the people will not buy the house up to like 6 blocks where that tower is. My question to you 3 gentlemen is, if your everything is location, 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 okay? If your first thing was Crestwood, Why did Crestwood say no? Why did Crestwood say no?
Excuse me, Mr. Quadracki, I can't make this a debate, it's public comment,
Okay.
you know.
Okay. I want to thank Matt for saying what health aspect has nothing to do with the zoning aspect. If I'm going to zone something, first thing I do is look at the health aspect of a certain item. Okay? This makes common sense. Health is everything to do with it, and that's about it. I talked about.
Oh, no, Bob, I know, you were in before you made a comment.
No, I mean,
Couple weeks
I
ago.
talked, we've been out here 4 or 5 times talking about this first, okay? This is the first, they were supposed to show up numerous times, they didn't show up. I like to, who's all here for the tower? Raise your hand. Okay? What does that show? Do we want it? I don't think so. Does AT&T want it? Yes. Put it somewhere else. I know you guys, you guys are supposed to put it a mile, they like to put it a mile from each other, from my red. Okay, they got one in, by the ballpark, or by the park over there. So the next one is by us. You know what? Put it by the OTB. Have Crestwood have it. Let them make the money.
All right, thank you, Bob.
Bob, do you want to sign in for us?
Just,
Thank you.
we're just acknowledging who spoke to the board tonight. Anybody else wish to say anything?
We don't have the same thing to say, so, you know,
I know, but if I tell everybody, if you repeat the other guy, it doesn't seem fair. Just, hopefully everybody, if you heard it already, maybe I did it for you.
good evening. Thank you for having us here. My name is Carolina Quiroga, Quiroga, and I live at 4819 West Angle. I'm just right above Miss Carla. I'm new to Alsip. I just moved here about 3 years ago. My family's been here about 5 years, so we're all new to the area. We're really happy in Alsip. When I found out about the towers, I found out through Facebook. Somebody had put it that they wanted to put a tower there. I notified Carla if she was aware because we hadn't received any notice. I mean, we had to find out through social media. So she, you know, made it her task to get more information for us. I'm not happy with the tower being there, and the reason I say it is I see every morning when I take my daughter to school, there's children waiting for the bus there. My parking lot is directly as I come out, it's right there where the tower's proposed to be brought up. So that's going to cause congestion with the construction, cars park on that side of the street, so that's going to limit us as well. And I mean, if the tower goes up there, then I don't think I want to be in Alsip that long. So it's going to force me to look somewhere else and buy somewhere else instead of staying there that close to a tower.
Thank you, Karen. Okay.
Karen, could you sign in for us, please?
Anybody else
Thank you.
wish to address the board? Go ahead, sir.
Hello, my name is Maciej Kozlowski. I live in that community at 12724 La Crosse. And I have a couple questions for the real estate guy, if I may.
Sure.
Okay. The first, he claimed that he was driving throughout the community, so I'm going to ask him, you know, how many residential buildings are in that community? How many houses? What is the closest property to that tower? Closest property. Also, where's the closest bus stop for the children with special needs at that location? And where's the park that kids play, you know, a regular park, you know, with the slides and everything? Just those questions. And how close is the another tower, which is at 127 and 83? And then what's the closest tower by the public storage? Even closer than the one you mentioned before.
Well, that's a big list too, sir. So, I mean, certainly, if you would, leave your name and number, and we'll have somebody get back with you at that information and stuff.
I mean, you can answer just fine.
Well, no, that's a lot to answer.
Five questions.
Yeah,
Let's do
I know.
one.
We're not here, excuse me, sir, we're not here to debate, but we will
You
facilitate.
said in the beginning I can ask questions.
Absolutely, you did, but I'm saying unless, Andrew, do you know all those answers right now?
I know some of them, sir,
Okay.
but I don't know all of them, and I'll see if I can grab bits and pieces of that. So, yes, I did drive around the community. The closest, I was looking at the drawings just to reaffirm what I thought was correct, but in the drawings that you have, the base of the tower right now is proposed to be about 48 feet from the property line to the, I guess it would be the north. We could actually move that tower about another 14, 13 feet to the south. So we could move it so it's right along the edge of the parking lot instead of right in the middle of the compound. The distance from the residential homes would be that 48 feet plus whatever that distance is to the house. I don't know what that is because I don't have a survey of their property.
Here's the survey, so the tower to the property line.
Right. It's like 48 feet.
And there's another 25 foot, that's the street. So add 25 plus 50 is, you're already 75 feet.
So, I don't know where the closest park is. I do not know where the closest bus stop is, and I do not know where the...
Well, that's what I was saying, that's a big list. We can certainly get back with them, yeah.
But I'm willing to take it back, and we're going to look at the water tank.
Thank you.
We're going to make sure that it is definitely ruled out, because I don't have that information with me tonight, so I apologize for that.
Okay.
So we'll bring that back.
All right, thanks, Andrew.
I
You know,
just want to mention one thing. I've sat through a lot of these meetings, and the one town that sticks out the most for me would be for people to go and see. You look at 151st Street. Anybody goes to Olin Park Mall, there's a big tower there. The tower was put in 1970. There's a school that was built right next to it. It's called Liberty School. It was built in 1976. The reason you can get so close to the tower is because the tower sits right by the Orland Park Chamber of Commerce building, which is an old schoolhouse. We don't live over there. I'm over there. I'm surprised. I'm just been surprised. I just wanted to mention where a tower is. You mentioned bus stop and kids. I just wanted to mention the school. A school that was built in 1976.
all right. Thank you, gentlemen. Anybody else wish to say?
I'm Beverly Curry, I'm at 12747 Delta Crush. I walk out my front door, maybe 50 steps, I'm there. 50, maybe only 35. That's how close it is to me, and I really don't like it.
All right, thanks, Beverly. Sir?
My name is Bernie Volk. I live at 12730 South LaPorte. Besides all their issues, my issue is, for this to be built, you guys have to change zoning law, right? To have this built there, okay? Since it's a project that maybe you guys want or don't want, I don't know yet, because you guys didn't vote on it, it's pretty easy just to quick and change that zoning. But when a resident comes to the village and wants to improve their property, we have to jump through all these hoops to build this. Oh, you can't build this shed, or you can't build this there, or you can't build this. You make it harder for us to improve the property to make it worth more and beautify it, make it look better. But this, you guys, in a whim, will change zoning like this, boom, and to put up a tower. So I just see that kind of ironic that residents have a hard time improving their property with permits. No, you're not allowed to do this. Well, I own it, I pay taxes on it, but we ain't gonna allow you to do this. I'm improving my property. It'll raise my taxes. I don't want to do that, but it's improving my property. But here, it's just like, oh yeah, if we'll get it all done, we'll change the zoning just like that. I just think that's kind of, in my...
I get your point, but I'll tell you what, in all fairness, Roger, our building commissioner, did you review all these plans for compliance?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
And do you, and are the plans compliant for the space that they're seeking?
They would with the variance on the height.
Okay, so with the height variance,
Right, you have to
that's the only
change something
question.
to make it.
But no, Bernie, we do put that through a filter first.
No,
I know it may come off like
yeah.
that, but we certainly do the right thing. Yeah.
I'm just saying, it kind of looks, a project that the village wants or city wants,
well, we'll change it like that, but if a resident comes in there, holy moly, you know the red tape we got to go through to change a denial or something like that. That's all.
I get you. And we might make it look simplified, but in this case, too, we have no stake in this other than to hear an appeal or a petition, I should say, from a company like this to do.
We don't necessarily feel this is...
We don't have any stake in this. Right.
Well, they're bringing, I'm sure they're paying something, they're paying permits.
Oh, permits and stuff like
and all
that.
Yeah,
But
there's money coming into the village
Right.
for it, if they build it.
Sure.
Right, yeah, that's all.
All right, well, thank you, sir. Anybody else, sir? All right, could you go ahead.
I just would like to answer the question since we didn't get the, exact answers, So the first residential building, there's close to that, the sign that was posted for this meeting is about 25 feet away, okay? There's 17 residential buildings, multi-unit residential buildings within this community. There's 12 houses next to it. The first bus stop is about 75 feet away from this tower where not only regular kids but special need kids congregate before they being taken to the schools. The park is about 125 feet away where the kids play. Okay, and the tower is about 400 to 500 feet away. The tower that is closer than the public storage, it could be probably utilized for something like this. It's already existing tower. Thank you.
You too. Thanks much. Go ahead, sir. Come on up.
Good evening, everybody. Phil
Hi.
Majewski. I'm at 12715 LaPorte, right there next to 294. I want to say I've had AT&T, has been a customer with them about over 35 years, and I have great reception right where I live. So I don't think we need the dollar.
I thought you were going a different direction with that, Phil. Like, I think it too. Okay.
I got bars.
All right. Thank you very much, Phil. Sounds like we covered most. Anybody else? Well, thank you very much, folks, for having some input into the conversation yet, too. Again, it's a committee meeting, and we'll schedule a vote as to whether or not we, and again, this is a supermajority vote yet, too, of the corporate authority. So the board understands those rules yet, too, because originally at a plan commission, this was voted to deny, but it ended up being a tied vote. So when it lays flat, there was no decision, no recommendation on something like this. It actually takes 5 votes to overturn it of the corporate authority. So we'll look at that at our next meeting, and I'll get that on the agenda for consideration then too. Gentlemen, thanks for coming out tonight yet too, and we'll wrap up the rest of our meeting here. Did anybody have any presentations, petitions?
Do we get the list of licenses?
I'm sorry, what?
Number 2.
Oh, I'm sorry. Trustee,
Presentation of a list of
yeah.
licenses dated Monday, September 26th, 2022 through Friday, October 7th of 2022. That's it, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Did anybody have any petitions or presentations or communications they wanted to share? Any unfinished business? Any new business? I need to ask that we adjourn a closed session to discuss collective negotiated matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2, Chapter 2. Can I get a motion and a second to do such?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Roll call number 1 to adjourn to closed session. Trustee Dalzell?
Yes.
Trustee Juarez Mendoza is absent. Trustee McLaughlin?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Navas Varza?
Yes.
Trustee Pareto?
Yes.
Motion carries to adjourn to closed session.
Thank you very much. The time now is 8:50 p.m. We're going to we're going to go across the hall for a short meeting. Again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight then, too. Enjoy the rest of your night.